The All-American Rejects are simultaneously one of the most underrated and one of the most beloved bands of the 2000s pop punk and emo scene. They have classic songs like Gives You Hell and Dirty Little Secret. They've been featured on soundtracks to movies like Snakes on a Plane and that weird Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movie. But they'd never reached the heights of contemporaries like My Chemical Romance and Paramore, bands that are considered legendary today. However, the All-American Rejects have been gaining some new attention in recent years with their unorthodox touring style. Seeing them play in backyards, barns, bowling alleys, Kai Cenat's house for some reason, and they've also dropped some new music. And that new music has been leading up to their first album in almost
15 years.
It's finally here. Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Trevor and I am eternally uncool. I make videos about music, music culture, and anything that interests me. But mostly music right now. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and watching the rest of this video. I've been a fan of the All-American Rejects for a long time. I used to listen to their debut album almost every day in the car going to high school. Then in 2017, they released this kind of mini documentary called Rejected, which pretty much just told the history of the band kind of and where they were at that specific point. I would watch that documentary all the time, and I remember drunkenly forcing my friends to watch it at one of our hangout sessions, which they were probably used to. I used to make them watch a lot of stuff when I was drunk. And of course, I've made a few videos about them. I've been waiting for a new All-American Rejects album for 10 years. Ever since the Rejected documentary, which featured 2 previously unreleased songs, I've wanted the band to come back in full force. But they didn't. Instead, Tyson did some acting and worked on a separate project called Now More Than Ever, which was admittedly a pretty good project. It got to the point where I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I may never get new All-American Rejects music. Cut to 2025. The All-American Rejects have had a massive resurgence in popularity, thanks in no small part to their House Party tour. Then in August of that year, they announced that they were going to release a brand new album called Sandbox. But can it live up to the hype that I've created in my own head?
That sounds like a you problem!
What I want to do today is take a look at the new All-American Rejects album, Sandbox. We'll take a brief look at the album's creation, I'll go over the tracks and rate them 1 out of 10, give you my thoughts on the album as a whole, and see if it lives up to the band's classic output. With all that being said, grab a drink, grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's get into the video. In December of 2011, the All-American Rejects released their 4th studio album, Kids in the Streets. It was recorded at a time when guitars were no longer at the forefront of popular music. A lot of bands in the same scene as the Rejects had incorporated more electronic and synth elements in hopes of keeping up with the times. The All-American Rejects wanted to keep up too, but they didn't want to ditch the guitars. The band looked at this change in a positive light, with vocalist Tyson Ritter saying, "I feel like in music, you're a virtual Magellan as you discover new, vast territories, sonically and lyrically." It was also a very personal record for Ritter himself. It talked about the band's rise as young musicians and the kind of struggles that come with that. He said that making this kind of music on this album was very cathartic, and reviews of the album were fairly positive. Alternative press called it their most ambitious and praiseworthy album to date. They toured pretty hard after this album. Then throughout the mid-2010s, they released a few scattered singles, but never any album. Then in 2018, they left their label, Interscope, in the hopes of kind of escaping the politics that come with being on a major label. During an interview in 2020, someone asked Tyson Ritter if the band was planning on releasing any new albums. To which Tyson said, "It's not likely that the band is going to make another record anytime soon, if ever. It's given birth to these other projects that I've started." And after that, they kind of just became another 2000s emo nostalgia act. And the only big release from them being a cover of Harvey Danger's 1997 song, Flagpole Sitta. But that cover would open up the floodgates to the Rejects' reinvention. The All-American Rejects started touring again, but not in places that a band like them would typically play. They played in backyards and bowling alleys, pretty much just small, intimate venues. And the media took notice. Despite how underrated they had become, the All-American Rejects were still a big name from the 2000s. For a band like them to be touring in this way was kind of unheard of. They also started releasing more new original music. Honestly, I was getting pretty hyped for this album. And I know I probably wasn't the only one. But is the hype justified? The album starts with Easy Come, Easy Go. This was one of the first songs they put out to kind of promote everything leading up to the album. And I'll be honest, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it the first time I heard it. It was one of those songs where I really needed it to grow on me, if it ever did grow on me. The first time I listened to it, I was just kind of iffy on it. I liked it, but it didn't really sound like the All-American Rejects that I had grown up with. You know, I grew up with their kind of pop-punk, power-pop sound. But you know what? I'm open to bands reinventing themselves. So I kept listening, and eventually, my opinion changed. When you really listen to it, this song doesn't sound that different from any other All-American Rejects song in their discography. It's high energy and catchy. The only difference is they sound more mature here. It's a much more raw sound, too, kind of more like rock and roll-y. And Tyson's vocals have aged quite well. Overall, this is a pretty good song to open the album. 10 out of 10. The next track is Get This.
Get this. And get this. And get this. But get this. So get this.
I liked this one almost immediately. It's your classic upbeat alternative song. This sounds like the natural progression of the All-American Rejects. It's poppy enough to stick in your head, but with a little bit of edge to it. I honestly think it's become one of my all-time favorite All-American Rejects songs. So I gotta give this one a 10 out of 10. Track 3 is Search Party, with an exclamation point. This was another one of the songs that they released leading up to the album. I didn't know how to feel about this one either. It sounds kinda different from their past output. Kinda has more of a 90s vibe, kinda fuzzy. I will say though, it's not one of the tracks that really stuck with me. It's a good song and shows the Rejects' growth. Maybe it'll grow on me, but right now I think it's just alright. 6.5 out of 10. Eggshell Tap Dancer is a kinda cool song. It's a bit more mellow with like a California vibe to it. But there's also that classic All-American Rejects energy in the chorus.
You're a showtime dancer. If you give me another chance to do, I'll wrap the tightrope round the world and really show you what I can do.
I love lyrics like, "Where did all the smart people go?" Man, Tyson just like me for real. Honestly, I can see myself coming back to this one, especially in the summertime. 8 out of 10. Green Isn't Yellow has a Beatles vibe to it, and that's like the best way I can describe it. It sounds like it's from a different era completely.
Green isn't yellow. go ahead or run away.
Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna like this one when I saw its name on the track list, but I was surprised at how much I really did enjoy it. It's a nice break. Sometimes the songs you don't expect to hit you the most, hit you the most. 10 out of 10. I think the title track, Sandbox, was the first song to really reintroduce the world to the All-American Rejects. And I think it was the right song to put out as the kind of debut single. It sounds just enough like classic All-American Rejects, but with a newer sound to make it fresh and not like they're just going back to the self-titled album.
And the toy soldiers set sail, even the bullet holes were in hell.
This song is actually about the terrors that children face during wartime, especially in like more desert-heavy countries. Hence the title, Sandbox. It's in lyrics like, see the children play in camo green, and the toy soldiers set sail, and even bullies know war is hell. You know, I never thought that the All-American Rejects would be the ones giving us pretty good social commentary, but
here we are.
honestly, this is a pretty good song. I can definitely see it becoming a big hit for them in the future. 10 out of 10. King Kong is a really interesting song. Most of the tracks up to this point have kind of been like raw, rock and roll, power pop kind of songs. But King Kong sounds more in line with something like the 1975. It's very synthy and 80s inspired.
You'll always be around to let me down. You'll always be around to let me down.
Honestly, I was surprised at how good this song really was. A nice little change of pace. I can definitely see myself coming back to this one. Another 10 out of 10. Clothesline opens with this kind of funky bass line. You know, in fact, the whole song is kind of funky. But the All-American Rejects also inject a dash of classic power pop into this funky little tune. Honestly, I could listen to a whole album with the sound of this song, so 10 out of 10. Lemonade gives off 2000s vibes. I don't know if anyone else feels it, but I do. And that's all that really matters. It's a pretty decent song. I like the guitar riff in this one, and Tyson's vocals. Is it as good as the last two tracks?
No.
But I won't skip it if it comes on in shuffle. 7 out of 10. For Mama is a song dedicated to the band's mothers. They're individual mothers. I don't think they share one mother. Do they? They even went as far as to release it on Mother's Day.
Hey lady, are you alright? Haven't seen you since the last time that I seen you. Said that you were fine. I knew better, let it slide. Still don't love you any less than the day before. Only more.
It's a song about keeping the family together through hard times and reflecting on the good times. Sonically, it's kind of similar to Green Isn't Yellow. Both songs kind of sound like they come from the 60s or 70s. There's definite folk influences, as well as some chamber pop. There's also a horn section that I think was a very nice touch. And Tyson's vocals are much softer and much more vulnerable. Honestly, this is probably the most beautiful song on the entire album, so 10 out of 10, obviously. You know, I'm kind of glad they didn't end the album on For Mama. It's a great song, but I hate when albums end on like a quiet, kind of sad song. It's a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Staring Back at Me is a much better choice for a final song. It keeps up with the album's earlier rock and roll and alternative sound. Parts of it are quiet, parts of it are loud. There's a lot of energy. This song definitely feels like it's not quite an ending, but like a closing of a chapter. Like the All American Rejects aren't done. Like they're only getting started. 9 out of 10. A lot of pop punk and emo bands from the 2000s are coming back with more mature sounding albums, trying to adapt to the times and escape the confines of a lost era. And some of these albums are really good. You guys know how much I love Panic's Viva Las Vengeance. And I know MCR hasn't put out an album in like a million years, but Foundations of Decay is a great example of how much the band has grown as musicians. But there's also albums from bands from the 2000s that are just boring and safe. They grew up and got boring, and forgot what made their old material so special. The All American Rejects are not part of this latter group. With Sandbox, the All American Rejects matured their sound without losing what made their work in the 2000s so great. They still have hooks, they still have energy, but now instead of being like bubblegum power pop and like emo inflected pop punk, they're more alternative rock and pop rock. They haven't forgotten what makes the All American Rejects the All American Rejects. Sandbox is a good album. Out of all the 2000s bands to return with new material, I think this is probably one of the best. The All American Rejects built up hype with their backyard shows and DIY attitude, producing the album themselves and releasing it independently. I think a lot of us were just ready for it. I know I was. As far as the album rankings for the All American Rejects go, I feel like Sandbox sits somewhere in the middle. It's definitely better than When the World Comes Down, but not as good as their debut. I think it's closer to something like Kids in the Street, an album that takes risks and helps the band progress. Overall, I really liked this album. It makes me want more. I hope the Rejects continue on this path of being an independent band and just doing what they want to do, because I think that's really where they shine the most. I give this album a 9 out of 10. What do you think of the All American Rejects' new album? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then I highly recommend smashing that like button and sharing this video with everyone you know. I'm a small, independent content creator who does everything on his own, and I'm really trying to grow this channel. So every like, every comment, every share, any interaction with this video or any of my hundreds of other videos really helps me out a lot. I am trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. If I can do that, then I will do a special video reacting to all of my old, pre-eternally uncool videos, most of which are private. So if you want to see any of those, tell a friend to subscribe. I'm also trying to grow my Instagram, so if you want to follow me there, you can. But with all that being said, thank you for watching. As always, I'm Trevor. Stay uncool. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye.